Hello everyone, after a few days of absence, today I am back to bring you emotional footage. Stories that touch everyone's heart. There are times when we think that just having a little more money, more fame, more love, will bring us happiness. But the more we have, the more empty our hearts become. We keep chasing after distant things, forgetting that true happiness sometimes lies in the simplest things. A warm meal with loved ones, a peaceful afternoon watching the sunset, or just a moment of smiling because we realize we are still alive. All our happiness, if we know enough. As Diep once said, knowing enough is not giving up, but understanding that we have enough to be at peace. Please watch the video with me until the end, to fully feel every emotion of James. Diep and Nhi. That afternoon, the sun was gentle. The light filtered through the pine trees, scattering golden streaks on the road like a stream of memories. James drove the small car slowly down the familiar slope, next to Diep, her hair gently fluttering, the fragrance as gentle as the first wind of the season. This afternoon, let's go eat grilled spring rolls, the old restaurant on slope number 7, James said, his voice warm and strangely peaceful. Diep smiled slightly. Yeah, I haven't been there for a long time. But that smile made James's heart soften. The small grilled spring roll shop nestled on the hillside, smoke billowing from the charcoal stove, the smell of grilled meat mixed with the smell of fresh vegetables, rice paper, and dipping sauce, all evoked memories of simple afternoons when everything was slow and gentle. James sat next to him, meticulously rolling each spring roll, a slice of golden meat, some raw vegetables, a piece of sour mango, then gently dipping it into the thick sauce. He gently brought the spring roll to Diep's face, his eyes filled with tenderness. Eat it, I made it just right for you. Diep was slightly surprised, then smiled. She lowered her head, took a small bite, spicy, sweet, strangely delicious. I still remember you can't eat spicy food, she said softly. James laughed. How could I forget? They sat there, amidst the smell of kitchen smoke, the sounds of people passing by, and endless stories. No need to talk about the future, no need to make distant promises, just looking at each other. A light smile was enough to make the whole outside world stop. In the midst of that peaceful scene, James suddenly said, You know, I think true happiness is when you know enough. Diep looked up at him, her smile as gentle as the late autumn sun. It turns out, knowing enough is the biggest secret to happiness. In that moment, everything became perfect, not because it was big, but because it was enough. A noon, a small shop, a person to love, and a smile to remember. The afternoon was chilly. White clouds rolled like silk ribbons across the hillside. James and Diep stood on the red soil of the new farm construction site. The sound of hammers and machines echoed in a steady rhythm, blending with the sound of the wind blowing through the tall pine trees. Diep glanced around the vast land. This place would soon become a beautiful farm with flower gardens, wooden houses, and small resorts where peaceful dreams would be nurtured. James looked at her, his eyes filled with pride and love. Look, in just a few months, this place will be full of life, just like the way you breathed warmth into my life. Diep smiled, but that smile today was not complete. She looked thoughtfully into the distance, then softly said, James, I worry about Nhi. He paused, his face solemn. I know, I couldn't sleep all night. They walked slowly towards the temporary house in the middle of the construction site. Nhi, the little girl they loved like their own child, was still the story that had been troubling them for many days. A woman claiming to be the child's biological mother had just appeared, demanding to take the child home. But in James and Diep's hearts, there was something that made them uneasy. I don't believe her, Diep said firmly. If she really was Nhi's mother, why hadn't she looked for her for all these years? Why did she only appear when she had a better life? James was silent for a long time, and then nodded. He understood her feelings. He also loved Nhi, the obedient, cute girl who always called them mom and dad with all her sincere feelings. They walked along the construction site, talking with the supervision team and talking about the child. James pointed to the small house on the hill. If this farm is finished, I want to make a separate room for Nhi, with a window overlooking the flower garden, and a small table for her to learn to draw. Diep's eyes suddenly lit up. Her voice became as light as a breath. She loves to draw. She often says that she wants to draw all the places she used to live in. A wind blew by, carrying the smell of new soil, the smell of pine wood and a little bit of the remaining sunlight. Both of them stood still. In the golden afternoon light, the image of Nhi, the little girl with her hair tied in 2 pigtails, smiling brightly with a paintbrush, appeared clearly in their minds. I don't want her to go anywhere, Diep said softly, her eyes filled with tears. Nhi calls me mom. She trusts me. She needs a safe home. Do you think I can give her to someone I don't trust? James squeezed her hand gently, his voice low. I understand, but we still have to follow the law. We will ask the government to help with a DNA test. If she is really the biological mother, then I believe that woman will also want the best for her child. If not, then I promise, no matter what, you and I will still be Nhi's support. Diep was silent. She knew James was always calm, always chose to handle things rationally. But in her heart, worry still surged. Nhi was not just a child who accidentally entered their lives. She was the warmth, the little joy every morning. The reason why the house became more lively and lovely than ever. The sky gradually turned to afternoon. They stood on high, watching the construction gradually take shape, as if seeing a dream growing day by day. Under the sunset, James gently placed his hand on Diep's shoulder, his voice warm. No matter what happens to Nhi, I just want her to be happy. And I believe, as long as we still truly love her, happiness will come. Diep nodded. Her tears fell gently, but they were tears of love, of faith. The late afternoon sun cast a soft golden light on the small road in front of the school gate. Diep stood waiting by the row of royal poinciana trees, her beige coat fluttering in the wind. In the middle of the crowd, Nhi appeared, her eyes sparkling, her hair tied in 2 pigtails swaying. As soon as she saw Diep, she ran over and hugged her. Mom, today, my teacher praised me for drawing the best in the class. Diep bent down, gently stroked her daughter's head, and said softly, really? Then I have to reward my little artist. The mother and daughter walked hand in hand along the small street, where Nhi's favorite rice paper shop was located. The familiar shop owner smiled as soon as she saw her. Are you two as beautiful as a picture again? Still the same egg and cheese rice paper? Nhi nodded vigorously, her eyes shining brightly. Diep looked at her daughter, her smile as light as the early spring sunshine. For her, there was no greater joy than seeing her child so happy, carefree and innocent. On the way home, Diep stopped by the small market, bought a few more bunches of vegetables, some meat and some fresh stream fish. Tonight, let's make the braised fish that James likes, she said. Nhi softly exclaimed, I'll help you cook. When she got home, the small kitchen was lit. The warmth of the fire, the crackling sound of stir-frying, the fragrant smell of fried onions mixed in the space, making the house seem to have a soul. Seeing Nhi playing with her grandmother, in that moment, she felt strangely peaceful, as if all the chaos outside was no longer important. When James got home, the smell of dinner had spread throughout the yard. He opened the door. The sight made him stop, his eyes suddenly wet. Dad's home. Nhi ran out and hugged him. The whole family gathered around a simple meal: braised fish, sour soup, and a plate of green boiled vegetables. The yellow light fell on the dining table, illuminating the radiant faces. James picked up a piece of fish for Diep, while Nhi happily told a story from class, still holding the small chopsticks she hadn't had time to eat. Amidst the laughter, Diep glanced at James. Their eyes met in a silent moment. Without words, both of them understood. This was what they were protecting, a true happiness that could not be exchanged for anything.